Welcome back. The city of Cape Town is moving ahead with plans to become a smoke-free city. It's announced that many public buildings could soon become smoke-free, meaning there will be no designated smoking areas. This is part of its participation in the Bloomberg Partnership for Health Cities, a global network of 70 cities or so. And it's also ahead of pending legislation, the new tobacco control bill, that will require many public spaces in South Africa to become smoke-free. To discuss, we're joined by Dr Sharon Nyatsanza from the National Council Against Smoking. Doctor, thank you for being with us. So you, like many, are giving kudos to the city of Cape Town in the direction that it's moving. What does it mean to be a smoke-free city?
Good evening. So, we are actually applauding the bold move by the city of Cape Town. So to be a smoke-free city really means that, there will not be smoking allowed in enclosed public spaces. So all those areas, for example, in restaurants, which actually allow, a 25% of the floor space to allow smoking, won't be allowed anymore. So basically, in all enclosed public spaces and workplaces, smoking will not be allowed.
Yeah. This has come up before. Some people are concerned about productivity. I mean, say you have a high-rise building, you're a smoker on the 14th floor. To go have a smoke, where do you go? Do you have to go down, out to a very private area?
So what usually happens right now is that, in, let's say, high-rise buildings, there could be, for example, a designated area for you to smoke. But when it becomes a smoke-free building, it means you will have to actually leave the building for you to be able to smoke.
And should we be concerned about productivity?
So, definitely, obviously there's going to be concerns around that, but it shouldn't really be a concern, because really what really matters really is the objective which the city of Cape Town is trying to achieve. They're trying to really, prevent non-communicable diseases, and that is very important.
Yeah, this is a huge health issue. Smoking kills, it's linked to cancer. Just give us an idea of some of the recent numbers, the deaths that can be attributed to smoking, and I think we're in a position to compare those now to COVID-19 that has sparked a national shutdown of the economy.
Yes. So, the tobacco use, or exposure to tobacco smoke actually is a pandemic on its own. In South Africa, it kills 42,100 people each and every year. And that actually is about 115 people each and every day dying from tobacco-related diseases each and every day. So it is already a pandemic. As you said, it is linked to many non-communicable diseases like cancer, diabetes, chronic lung diseases. So it is a pandemic on its own, and part of improving the health of the nation really includes trying to drive down the use of tobacco.
Yeah. Doctor, I wish that tobacco wasn't legal. I have a daughter. I wish it wasn't even an option. But the fact is, it is legal in most parts, if not all parts of the world. People have become addicted, and they choose to smoke, that they see as a choice. And how do you balance that? Somebody's choice to smoke, if you're making it almost impossible for them to do so.
Okay, so definitely it is a choice to smoke, and everyone can, has a right to choose, their own lifestyle. But it's very important to also note that 8 out of 10 people who actually started smoking before they actually were adults. So they started smoking as teenagers. So it's very important that we actually implement stronger tobacco policies to actually try and drive down initiation. Because when we actually achieve driving down of initiation of tobacco use, we definitely then reduce tobacco use as a whole. So the law is not prohibiting smoking or the act of smoking. It's basically trying to control where you smoke and trying to actually make it more achievable for more people to stop smoking.
Yeah.
So it's not a prohibition of smoking. It's basically trying to control smoking and trying to drive down tobacco prevalence.
But again, what if somebody thinks that it is their right to smoke? They want to go to a restaurant and have a smoke, and it's not harming anybody else if that section is cut off, and they can sit amongst other smokers.
So, behind the policy to actually make, for example, restaurants 100%, smoke-free is the evidence which shows that, when you actually are smoking in that smoking area, the smoke still actually lingers through the doors, through the ventilation, and actually it does affect everyone else. So it affects not only the workers who work in those spaces, but actually affects everyone else sitting in the restaurant as well. So, part of the Framework Convention, the aim is actually trying to protect non-smokers as well, because we can't protect them as long as there's still smoking allowed in public spaces.
Well, this is a big issue because non-smokers used to complain about walking through smoke, even when smokers had to go outside but could stand around doors and things like that. What is the evidence? If you're exposed to smoke every now and then walking through a doorway, how dangerous is that actually?
Right. So, we call that second-hand smoke or passive smoking, and it is as dangerous as smoking itself. The person who's not smoking actually is still inhaling the same toxic chemicals which are actually being inhaled by the person who's smoking. Globally, 65,000 people die each and every year from second-hand smoke. In South Africa as well, a lot of people are still exposed to second-hand smoke. So, you don't need to smoke yourself for you to actually, suffer from the adverse effects of tobacco. So, second-hand smoke is not safer. Even just brief, there's no safe level of exposure to second-hand smoke. A lot of people still have cancers, they still have heart problems, not because they did actually use tobacco, but sometimes because they actually were involuntarily exposed to tobacco smoke.
Yeah, and of course that affects children as well. Finally, I presume you support this bill that may become law, which will affect the whole of South Africa. So buildings won't have the smoking areas, no public spaces, even beaches. You won't be allowed to smoke there. There won't be that distance anymore. No public space. In this, are we quite revolutionary? Do you think? Are we ahead of the global norms, or are we just following what the world is doing, the trend?
Okay, so definitely we are in support of the new tobacco bill. And tobacco bill, like you say, it will introduce smoke-free areas, and we actually are just following the trends. These are actually international standards, best practices, which are set by the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control by the World Health Organization, and so by basically, prohibiting smoking in public spaces, or even in some private spaces. For example, in private spaces which actually have, for example, creches for children, smoking actually is not also allowed. So these are not only the things that the bill actually covers. The bill also tries to regulate electronic cigarettes, which are currently not regulated. It will also introduce plain packaging and graphic health warnings. So, it will basically improve and make tobacco control stronger. At the same time, it actually moves us a step closer to the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, of which South Africa is a party to. So it's actually what the government is trying to do is basically bring itself into compliance with international law, which actually it has obligations under.
All right, thank you very much. That was Dr. Sharon Nyatsanza from the National Council Against Smoking. Now, the brutal murder